Oppression is the prolonged rule or unjust treatment of a minority. Here are the stories of students who have been oppressed in today's society. What is a time that you have felt oppressed?
A time that I have felt oppressed was, I would say 6th grade, because that's when it hit me the most. I was in one of the smarter classes. They were called gate classes at the time. And my teacher, she was white, and she loved all the kids who were not black. So when I was applying to a middle school that was for, say, like engineering, and I had to write a letter and things like that, she kind of discouraged me to do it, and she was like, oh, you won't get in. They want like all of these other kids and that were like not minorities. And my mom was like, you know, you should just do it. You don't know. And I got in, and a lot of the other kids didn't. So she told me, she was like, I don't know how you got in. All these other kids are smarter than you and they know more. And yeah, I think the school made a mistake, and it made me feel like really bad. And I'm like, well, you kind of like put me down, man. And me and my mom kind of riled up, and like we got her fired because she was kind of spreading that similar message to a lot of the other kids. So it felt good to do that after I was kind of feeling oppressed and kind of like put down. So yeah.
What is a time that you have felt oppressed?
Back in high school, when I was in like 11th grade, I had this environmental science teacher. His name was Mr. Strauss. And my experience in that class was like, I wouldn't say it was like terrible, but it was close to very, very indifferent, I should say. We had very few minority students that participated, and when we did, they sat towards the back of the class compared to the Caucasian students. I personally felt that I got the worst of all of it, as he always constantly like picked on me and just always called me out, and he even asked me to stay after class a few times to talk about pretty much nothing, and he tried to be my friend. I didn't really appreciate that. Compared to the other Caucasian students, I feel like he wouldn't even like bat an eye or even care if they did anything wrong or talk loud or out of their seat. Compared to us, if I were to get up and get a tissue or anything, he just asked me to sit back down. I didn't really appreciate how he like controlled the classroom. I guess I didn't really like appreciate that. So yeah.
Is there a time where you felt oppressed?
Yes, I felt oppressed at my old high school. It's called Beverly Hills High, so clearly it's a predominantly, white high school. I felt that pretty much every day of my life when I went there, because it was just a difference in culture clash, people saying racist remarks to me. There was an incident as well with a cheerleader at my high school calling another cheerleader for a different high school a monkey because she was black. So just, yeah, clearly I was oppressed. And yeah, just dealing with that, I felt like that went into my identity and how I viewed myself there. So I think, yeah, I have been oppressed and I am a victim of that.
Is there a time where you felt oppressed?
A time that I felt oppressed was probably back when I used to play baseball, and we used to face predominantly white teams in their hometowns. Usually the umpires would kind of make the calls go their way, and things would be harder for us. Like the strike zone would be bigger for the other team, and the strike zone would be smaller for us, and we would have to work harder than the other team to win. So, it was definitely a challenge, but something that we can overcome. And, this was always a problem throughout baseball, from middle school to high school, for as long as I've been playing. I don't play anymore, but that really taught me that as a black man in America, I was gonna have to work harder than a lot of other people, and that's why I'm here today.
Oppression is something that black people have dealt with for centuries. Our parents dealt with it, and our parents' parents dealt with it. Those who were interviewed showed that in today's society, oppression still exists. But I believe, as a community, we can come together and end oppression.